article will kind of go back to the beginning. It says, quote, the Department of Justice on Friday released the largest batch of Jeffrey Epstein files to date, a giant tranche including 3 million more pages of documents and thousands of videos and images. The department released 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and some 180,000 images. The pages consist of email chains, text messages, news articles, internal investigative reports, and other material tied to Mr. Epstein. The files appear to contain at least 4,500 documents that mention President Trump. One was a summary that officials at the FBI assembled last summer of more than a dozen tips from members of the public involving Trump and Epstein. It's unclear why the investigators put together the summary, which includes accusations of sexual abuse by Epstein and Trump. The emails did not include any corroborating evidence. According to the emails, Mr. Epstein drafted notes to and about Bill Gates in 2013, suggesting that he engaged in extramarital sex. The Gates Foundation called the accusations absolutely absurd and completely false. In one email, Mr. Epstein wrote that he had helped Mr. Gates acquire drugs to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, and that he had facilitated a rendezvous for Mr. Gates with married women. It was not clear if Mr. Epstein actually sent the emails to Bill Gates. The files also revealed that Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, planned a visit to Mr. Epstein's island in 2012, although he had previously said he severed ties with Mr. Epstein around 2005. Lutnick told the Times on Friday that he could not comment about the visit because he had not seen the documents. I'm sure that's true. You call up the Secretary of Commerce, hey, how about those emails where you went on the pedophile sex island? Oh, I didn't see that yet. Hangs up. That's believable. A 2013 email exchange between the British billionaire Richard Branson and Mr. Epstein suggested that the pair had a familiar relationship built, at least in part, around their interest in women. Multiple messages between Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein showed the two comparing schedules to find time to meet in Florida or in the Caribbean between 2012 and 2014. So, here's the thing about the files. To me, this is what is relevant. From what we have seen in the files, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, it is impossible, just from the files alone, to determine whether these are real or fake. Honestly. We don't have the context. We don't know how much of this is authentic. We don't know how much of this has been corroborated. Certainly, it seems that some of it is more credible than other parts of it. So, for example, the emails between Jeffrey Epstein and people he knew, that seems legitimate to me. It's from Epstein's email. It's seized by the FBI. I have no reason to believe these are fabricated. The most you could say is maybe for whatever reason, Epstein was making these up to troll, to indict certain people. Who knows? That is maybe what you could say is the extent of it. That seems to be more credible. Then on the other side, you have this long list of sexual assault accusations against Trump, which are very out there and seem pretty wild. And there's no evidence for them. All we have are complaints. We have some reports from confidential informants, and they reflect opinions, unverified accusations. That, to me, seems less credible. Here's what I will say about all of it, however, and this is, to me, what matters. All of this started because Donald Trump said that he would release the Epstein files, which the public deserves to see. At the minimum, the public deserves to see all of this investigated, and it should be transparent. When Trump is elected, they do a fake out. Around this time last year, the Trump administration invites all of these Jewish influencers to the White House, guys like Rogan O'Handley, who was praying at the Western Wall, guys like Mike Cernovich, who's tight with Alan Dershowitz, Scott Presler, Jack Posobiec. All the pro-Israel influencers are invited to the White House. As you remember, they get the binders, and the binders contain no new information, and they were only given to a handful of people. It was a head fake. And so you got to wonder, why did they create this fake out? Why did they try to trick us? Because that's what it is. They created this elaborate photo op in order to get people off of the case. They wanted us to stop looking into this. They wanted us to stop paying attention. Why? And that was their first move. Their first move.
Just to start, I find it really funny that that was their attempt. Oh, well, one of these made many attempts to get people off the kind of scent of pursuing the Epstein files being released. But if anything, it just makes it you want them released more, because it's like, what are you really hiding? Like, it must be so bad that you're constantly trying to stop them from being released. So
1 month in was to say, hey, let's invite their favorite influencers. Let's give them a bunch of crap. They will be satisfied and they will go away. They will stop caring about this issue. Very bold move. And quickly people said, hey, what's the deal? Put the files online. Why'd you give them to 5 people? Give them to everybody. Well, then they uploaded the files and people quickly realized the files were fake. So people said, what's really going on here? Now where's the real files? By the end of that week, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi said, well, don't worry, we're releasing the files later. Well, later never came. They said, we have all the files, we're going to put them out next week. Never happened. They got questioned about it. Pam Bondi said, hey, the files are on my desk, they're ready to go. Then it got even weirder. Trump asked the FBI, did my name appear in the files? And the FBI actually spent hundreds of hours looking through the files, finding every mention of Trump's name. And there were thousands of mentions. Trump was asked about this in June of last year, and Trump denied doing this. They said, did your name appear in the files? Did you ask if your name appeared in the files? And Trump said no. That was a lie. So you really got to wonder what the hell is going on. You get the fake out. They then try to procrastinate. They try to postpone it. Well, we'll put the files out later. Hope people forget about it. They come back. They say, well, we got them on our desk. They're going to come out later. Trump is very curious about whether he's in the files. And then he lies about asking the FBI to investigate and get to the bottom of that inquiry. Then, this is when it really gets weird. Elon Musk goes to the White House with a black eye. It's his last visit to the Oval Office. This is right before Israel bombs Iran. This is the week before. Elon Musk goes on Twitter and says the reason Trump will not release the files is because he's in them and he knows he's in them. He's got a black eye. It's a week before Israel bombs Iran, and then he's never in the Oval Office again. After Israel's war with Iran concludes, which the United States intervened in, Netanyahu visits the White House to celebrate, and he gives Trump a big trophy for their victory in the war. The day before that visit, the DOJ publishes a memo and says, case closed. There are no Epstein files. They don't exist. We can't release them because there aren't any, and there are no third-party people we want to investigate. There's no black book. There's no sex trafficking ring. That never happened. This is done. This is a cold case. This is case closed. And as you recall, there was public outrage. People said, what the fuck is going on? First you said they're on your desk. Now you say they don't exist. You campaigned saying you're going to release the files. Now you say there are no files to release. You talked about this sex trafficking ring. As a matter of fact, that's what Epstein was charged with and convicted for 20 years ago. Now you say there never was a sex trafficking ring. 2 weeks before the war, Elon's got a black eye and says Trump won't release the files because he's in them. Now Netanyahu brings this giant trophy to the White House to commemorate their victory in the war. And right before he arrives, he gets this gift, which is the Epstein files are going to be buried. So people go, what's up? Then you get this extraordinary cover-up. Trump comes out as guilty and defensive as anybody could possibly be. He says, if you are interested in the files, you're an idiot. You're a fake supporter. You're with the Democrats. You're with them. It's a hoax. The Democrats made it up. Why would they not get to the bottom of it under Biden? One line after another, one excuse after another, piling up. There are no files. It's only trying.
Just to kind of go into that, and yeah, whenever you do that, it just makes people more and more hungry for the files to be released. It just creates more of a desire for them to be released, because it triggers that curiosity of what the fuck are they actually hiding? Like, why are they so fucking weird about these being released? And I remember that Trump interview where he got asked and he was like, are you still talking about this creep? There's floods in Texas, and he's still talking about Epstein. So literally just saying whatever he could to try and get, again, people off the scent of the Epstein files.
Sex abuse material. The files are real, but they're a hoax. They're real, but they're fake. If you believe in them, you're not my real supporter. Then you have Republican members of Congress that break with the party and vote with the Democrats to release the files. Congress shuts down a month early to prevent this from going through. Thomas Massie, Marjorie Greene, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert get together, and they, working with the Democrats, are going to compel the release of the files with an act of Congress. They're even going to bypass the Speaker of the House, the leader of their own party. Congress closes a month early for their summer recess to prevent this from happening. Then when Congress comes back, do we get the files? No, because Congress shuts down for 45 days. Longest government shutdown in history. And in the end, the Democrats give up without any concessions. Kind of weird. Then a week later, we finally get this bill. It goes to the floor. It passes. Marjorie Greene, who pushed it, resigns mysteriously after getting death threats. Then Trump tries to drag his feet. They try to delay the release of the files. They try to amend the bill. Doesn't work. It takes 2 months. Now we're in January 26. We finally get the files, and there's 6 million of them. Mm-hmm. Now we finally get the files after they pulled out every stop to prevent this from happening. They shut down the government. They shut down Congress. They tried to trick us. They tried to postpone it. They lied. Trump tried to guilt trip us, tried to tell us it's not real. Finally, they release them. There's 6 million files. And Trump is named almost 5,000 times. And you say, okay, so that was a lie. Everything they said about it was a lie. They said the files don't exist. Okay, there's 6 million of them. So obviously they exist and you lied. Then they said, well, they're a hoax. Okay, well, maybe some of the stuff isn't credible, but clearly a lot of it is. So that's a lie too. Mm-hmm. They said there is no trafficking ring. Well, from these emails and judging by what we've seen, I don't know that you can actually say that. I don't know that you can infer that without a full investigation. So it's hard to draw concrete conclusions from what we've seen because a lot of it is inconclusive. However, what we do know for a fact is that they lied. They engaged in a cover-up which failed. They lied about the existence of the files, the contents of the files, the treatment of the files. They pulled out every procedural stop to prevent the files from coming out, and now we only have half of them, and what's in there is pretty disturbing. Now, here's the next part of this. And I said it at the beginning, it's actually not our job to get to the bottom of this. It's our right to see it, but it's not our responsibility to investigate. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we don't have any power. Okay, the FBI has power. The Department of Justice has power. Congress has power. All of these institutions have power to subpoena, to investigate, to summon people. All of them have power, actually, to action these files and claims and accusations. We have the right to see the files. It is now the obligation of our representative government to do the people's will and investigate. So you've got 3 million files here. Howard Lutnick, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Steve Bannon. All these people are named. Donald Trump, Bill Gates. Now you need a full-blown investigation by the FBI into all of this. There are very serious accusations against Trump. This needs to be investigated. There are very serious accusations against all these people. This needs to be investigated. FBI needs to get to the bottom of it. DOJ, and you know what the next move is that they're going to try? You have House Republicans that are on the committee. They're already trying to pivot and make it about the Democrats. Yep. They're trying to compel Bill and Hillary Clinton to come and testify about the files. But Bill and Hillary Clinton are only a couple of people that are involved here. They're going to try and make it a partisan thing. This is about everybody that was involved in this. We need to know, because we need to know who's compromised. Are these emails with Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein real? Because if they are, then that means that Jeffrey Epstein had extraordinary blackmail leverage over Bill Gates, one of the richest people in the world. That would be a big problem. And if Epstein had a similar relationship with Howard Lutnick or Donald Trump or Bill Clinton, you know, that's a big problem. Because that would also seem to suggest that these people are compromised. By who? For what purpose? So again, and this is the most important thing, and I said this a couple weeks ago, everyone said it was controversial. Trump is not a pedo protector per se. That's not what this is. To the extent that there was pedophilia or underage sexual abuse, not justifying it, that was only in the furtherance of another crime. You understand the difference? That was in the furtherance of another crime. It's not like they were running a pedophilia ring because they just really wanted to get their rocks off and Jeffrey Epstein was a pimp. That's not what happened here. Jeffrey Epstein was pimping girls out to blackmail his clients.
And this is why people are misconstruing what Nick is saying. He got in trouble for like saying things about Epstein not necessarily strictly being a paedophile, which I think Epstein is a paedophile, but I get what Nick is getting at, and he sort of conveys it really well here. What he's saying is this wasn't just like a paedophile, like that wasn't the only thing that he was using it as a tool to further another objective or another goal, whether that be something that Israel wanted to be done because he may have been working on behalf of Israeli intelligence, or you know, they need to pass a certain bill, or just whatever the fuck, I don't know. But it was being used to blackmail these people to do whatever he or whoever was above Epstein wanted them to do.
You understand? The sex trafficking, the sexual abuse of underage girls, these were crimes committed in the furtherance of extortion.
It was done to hit a certain goal, or exactly what, in the furtherance of whatever objective they had. That's what this was used for.
To compromise powerful people. That is actually the larger question. Are you prepared to ask that question? I see people squealing and screaming, pedophile protector, and they want to get into the sensational details of the sex crimes. I understand that. But you do realize that, let's say we nail Bill Gates for cheating on his wife, or we nail somebody for sleeping with a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old. It's a crime. It's disturbing. But the next question is, who paid for the blackmail? Is that person compromised? And if they were compromised, what were they ordered to do, and by who? It's a question of politics. It's a question of our sovereignty. That is the scandal here. That is what the FBI needs to get to the bottom of. Because when you look at this circle, you see Howard Lutnick, our Commerce Secretary. You see Bill Gates, who runs Microsoft, one of the most valuable companies in the world. You see Elon Musk, again, who is going to be the world's first trillionaire. $1.5 trillion IPO for SpaceX, runs Tesla, runs X, runs Starlink and Starshield. If these people have connections to Epstein, that doesn't just imply that there's a sex crime, it implies that there is corruption, that there is some sort of nefarious political operation. That's actually the real story here.
What Nick is saying, he makes a really good point. It's not, obviously they've committed a sex crime, which is awful, but there's something deeper going on there as to how, in what way have they been compromised and to do what, for who. That's where people need to start sort of probing. I mean, the sex crimes are horrific and they should definitely get whatever justice is necessary for the particular crime that they've committed. But we also need to be looking deeper and going, why, in what way were you compromised? What were you made to do? Or what bill were you made to pass? What information were you made to conceal or give away? That's what we need to be looking into.
We're going to see the light of day on this stuff. I don't think the FBI, the DOJ, I don't think they're ever going to bring any of that to light. Why would they? Kash Patel works for Trump. Pam Bondi works for Trump. Trump, in a sense, works for Israel, works for Elon. So how are they going to investigate these people? If Miriam Adelson and Israel and Elon, if they pulled Trump strings because they contribute the money, and if Trump employs Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, then how are Pam Bondi and Kash Patel going to possibly run this up the flagpole and do their job? They can't.
Yep.
Excuse me.
But yeah, we'll leave it there. That was a really good clip that I just wanted to show you guys of Nick just going really deep on the Epstein files and sort of what happened with America trying to conceal them, and just kind of the questions that we need to be asking and what we need to be curious of with this, and making sure that we sort of stay on track in terms of finding out why this was all happening, what sort of corruption was being made to happen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you can. Stay based. I'll see you guys in the next one.